Okay, so that was lessons. Now, we gave reading lessons to year 7 and 8, but we couldn't do it. We couldn't do it for any other year groups. There was no way that year 9, 10, and 11 were going to come out of curriculum time to just sit and read a book. So the next thing we tried to do, again, which was about changing the culture and their enjoyment of reading, really, was to create a whole extracurricular life for reading. So I went back in. I was back in assembly. Here I go again, another assembly, to try to promote them doing something with reading that was not in lessons, because that is when you're getting towards reading for pleasure. And that's what I stood there and I heaped praise upon them. I showed them the statistics about how many books have been read by children at Harper Green School, how many books have been borrowed from the library compared to this time last year. And so, I praised them and I asked them to step it up. So I asked them to do something more. So then we promoted Book of the Month. And you can see some of the photographs. That went all over school. Book of the Month was advertised in every single department, massive posters in every form room, smaller posters in the form rooms, posters all over the corridors. We bought 10, 15 copies of Book of the Month. We gave extra reward points to anyone who read it, and they queued up at the library to get it, because I stood in assembly and I said, this book to year 7, this book is brilliant. I got one of the year 7s out to read the first page, another of the year 7s out read the blurb, and I talked excitedly about it. And I said, anyone who can get down to the library first, you will get the first copies. And they absolutely loved it. The idea was that we noticed that what was going out of the library too much, especially in year 7 and 8, were those Diary of a Wimpy Kid type books. Now, there is absolutely nothing wrong with reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid. But if that's all you're reading, it's not going to do you any good. So and I said to them, it's a bit like junk food. Eating McDonald's all the time, yes, you won't die of starvation. It will literally keep you alive, but it isn't doing anything for you. Whereas if you eat healthy food, so I use this analogy with them. And I asked them to stop reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid and start reading quality children's literature. So Book of the Month became that. Now, my librarian was amazing, and she did all the books of the month. She got all the posters printed. She decided on them all. So I did have a lot of help there. Then we made it reading only in the library at lunchtime. We had this big library space. It was readers only. If I hadn't had a library, I would have designated a classroom, a reading space, and we just put drinks and biscuits in there just as a little bit of temptation to come in. But no computers were allowed to be on. No board games, no card games, nothing like that. And we gave them all stickers and reward points, even for just coming in and reading for 10 minutes. And they loved it. You will find these children, although people say kids don't read, a lot of them do, and a lot of them want to. A lot of them don't know what to read, so Book of the Month worked for that. So we got rid of that idea of computers in the library at lunchtime. None of that. It was readers only. It was a quiet space. It was a calm space. And then they all started to creep out of the woodwork, these kids who love reading. And then reading became bigger, and I had teachers, they were sending me emails saying there were 3 girls sitting on the bench today outside, all reading a different book. And, we saw reading start to happen. Kids walking down corridors, reading the book. And I am not exaggerating or joking. We had that. We saw that. Again, we added massive amounts of reward points and stickers for joining in. We gave them an I love reading card, those who came in the library. And we literally made a sticker that said Harper Hearts Reading. And every time they came in, they got a sticker, and they loved a sticker. It cost us hardly anything, and they loved the sticker. The next thing we did was we organised a reading party at the local library. So I went down to the library and I said, how many kids have you got as members? And they were like, none. I said, right, then I'm going to bring year 7 down. So I organised a reading party. I took 2 English teachers down there, drinks and biscuits. I took a load of books down there. I invited them. I invited their parents. Some parents came. I had 35 year 7s turn up to Ashton Library, and they sat on the floor in the library while we read books to them. And then they all joined, so they all got a membership card. And I said to them, anyone who joins the library and brings me their membership card, you'll get stickers, you'll get reward points. And they literally lapped it up. They were asking, when are we doing the reading party again? But then COVID happened and we had to stop. And then the next thing we did was we created these reading groups. So we had a large number of EAL children in the school. All my reading groups, by the way, are alliterative. So Books and Biscuits was for an EAL reading group at lunchtime. I literally bought some graphic novel type of the Famous Five. They're modern, new sort of versions of the Famous Five books, and we just read together and talked about the words. Then I did a high prior attainment reading group called Cake and Classics, which I have just come from, by the way, in this new school that I'm at now. We're doing 1984. So top set year 9, top set year 10. But anyone else who really wanted to join, not that there was anyone else, but top set year 9 and 10 did that. So Cake and Classics. And then staff, they wanted to call it Prose and Prosecco, but the head wouldn't go for it. The staff, we had a staff reading group where the staff read Of Mice and Men and absolutely loved it, you know. So again, it was just as much extracurricular as we could possibly get going on.